there are some shapes that a child must be able to make to indicate that they are ready to learn to print. Those shapes are a big line, a small line, a big curve, a small curve, a diagonal line, a plus, a circle, and a triangle. Once your child can make those shapes, they are ready to start learning to print some letters. And here's how we do that. I will just show you the lowercase letters in this video. So an A begins with a magic C and comes back up to the dotted line and then makes a straight line down. A B is a big line down, bounces up and around and makes a small curve. A C is the beginning of a lot of other letters. We call it a magic C. We want to make sure we teach children to hook up to bump the line and then bump at the bottom. A D starts with that amazing magic C that does so much, flies up to the sky, and then a straight line back down to bump the bottom. An E is the only letter that starts in between the interlined line and the bottom line. And I teach this one with the language, hit the ball and run around the bases. An F is made with a hook, so we start slightly below the top line. We go up to bump the line and then make a big line down and then cross across the center. A G is yet another magic C letter. We start with a magic C, come up to bump the dotted line, dive down below and hook back up. An H starts with a big line, bumps the bottom, bounce back up and make your hump. An I is a small line down and then add a dot. A J starts at the dotted line, dives down through the line, curves back up, and then we add the dot. A K starts with a big line, bumps the bottom line, and then we take our pencil off the paper, we jump out a little bit, and then we do a karate chop. An L is simply a big line down, bump the line. An M starts at the dotted line, make a small line down, bump, bounce back up, and make two humps or two small curves. An N starts with that small line, bump the line, bounce back up, and make one hump. An O starts with that magic C, and we just keep going until we finish the circle. A P is a big line down, bump, trace back up, and then make a curve, a small curve. A Q is another magic C letter. We make our magic C, we come up and bump that dotted line. We dive down through the bottom, and then we curve or hook outside of that general space created by the letter. So that difference between the G and the Q does need to be explicitly taught to children. With the G, we hook under the magic C. With the Q, we hook away from the magic C. And I teach children that this hook or curve, which it can be made either way, is pointing up at the letter U. Because in English, Q and U stick like glue, and they always go together to make the sound coo. If you teach the formation of the letter as you're teaching sounds, it is really helpful, for students to learn that the tail of the Q points toward the letter that is always there. An R is a small line down, bounce back up, and make a small hook. An S starts with a miniature magic C and then winds around and makes a backward curve. A T is a big line down and cross across the center. A U, which I made with the Q as well, starts at the dotted line, dips down toward the bottom, and then starts to curve and comes back up as if it changed its mind. And then we make a small line down to bump that bottom line. Lowercase v starts at the dotted line, and we have a small line and a small line, both formed on the diagonal. A lowercase w is small line diagonal, a small line back up, diagonal, and then we do it again. An X is a diagonal line from the left to right, and then another from the right to left with the two lines crossing as close to the center as we can. A Y is a small line down, diagonal, and then we're going to jump up, and I teach that it's not straight back up, it's a little bit farther out than above where this line connects there. We jump out and we make a big line down. And a Z finally is a small line across the dotted line, a diagonal line down, and then a small line across the bottom. And that is the lowercase alphabet. Let me know if you have any questions.